Okay, I know I'm late, but I just got done watching the first episode of Lovecraft Country. We're gonna go over it real quick. So the first episode is called Sundown, uh, and it's gonna explain why. The character's name, the main character, Jonathan Davis. You've seen him in White Boy Rick. You've seen him in the movie with John Goodman about the aliens. He's been all over the place. He's in the Five Bloods, Spike Lee. So he plays a character named Atticus Freeman. So you guys know the science behind the name Freeman and the name of Atticus. Okay, and so he's dreaming. He's on a bus ride. He's dreaming. He's on the front line. He's a soldier fighting a war. There's little flying Cthulhu's. There's UFOs on this huge battlefield, and he's fighting, shooting, killing everybody. And then the UFOs dispatch a pink Asian woman, which would be the Princess of Mars. She's sent down to Atticus from a UFO. Then a giant Cthulhu is about to attack them, but Jackie Robinson splits it in half with his baseball bat. Atticus then wakes up. He's on a bus leaving from Kentucky to going back home to Chicago. The bus breaks down. He and the older woman have to walk to the next stop because the white people will not give them a ride. They're in the Jim Crow. It's Jim Crow era. He's reading The Princess of Mars, which is a John Carter series. John Carter was the big Disney flop with I forget the guy's name. I forget his name, but it's a book series about the guy discovers a portal to Mars and it helps free the enslaved Martian some. Okay, so he believes stories are like people; they have flaws, but they Taylor Taylor Klitsch. I'm sorry, Taylor Klitsch was in the John Carter movie. My bad. So he believes stories are like people; they have flaws, but they overcome. Atticus is going back home to find his missing father. His father's been missing for 2 weeks. Okay, Atticus's father writes him a letter to Atticus saying his family is from Ardham, Massachusetts. Their family birthright is there. Atticus goes to the bar looking for his father. The owner is a mixed guy and he's getting fellatio from a man. Don't know why they even put that in there. Anywho, he then picks up a book by H.P. Lovecraft called The Outsiders. The Outsiders by H.P. Lovecraft. It's a short story. Basically, a man is in a castle, first person narrative. He doesn't, his memory is shot. He doesn't remember why he's there. He's trying to get out. He wants to experience the outside world. He climbs a staircase and then he discovers a creature. And then and search for an exit. He walks around the room, runs back to the castle, tries to go crawl back through the grate into this old world. He stretches out his fingers towards the creature's paw in the alcove and felt nothing but the cold and unyielding surface of polished glass of a mirror. Okay, now Letty and Rudy are sisters. They sing a song together at a block party. There's a black Shriner. There's a black man wearing a Shriner's hat at the block party. Letty is back in town. Letty is mixed. Her sister Ruby is dark skinned, dark complected. Okay, got that thing going on. George, his uncle George, and Atticus set out to Ardham, Massachusetts, in Devon County. On the map, there's a picture of the Grim Reaper. Atticus calls South Korea. The person on the other end says Tick. He can't speak, and she says, "You went back home. You shouldn't have gone back." George, Tick, Atticus, and Letty head to Ardham. They drive through a sundown town. There's a sign that says, "Nigger, don't let the sun set on you here." There's a white guy that makes monkey sounds at them at a gas station. They stop in Simmonsville. Letty and Tick want to leave the diner, but George is adamant on staying because they're citizens. Letty goes to the bathroom and he hears the waiter on a phone call describing their appearance. And then Tick asks George, "Well, why was the White House painted white?" Because Tick is looking at the brick. wall, and the building's completely whited out inside. And then George references the War of 1812, in which the White House was burned down, and they built it back up by the slaves. They cut and painted it all white. So then Letty hurriedly runs back and says, "We gotta leave. We gotta leave. We gotta leave now." As they hurry up into the car, they're being chased by white supremacists, and they're being shot at. So a car chase ensues. And then as they're being chased down the highway, a silver Rolls Royce cuts off the pursuers, and an invisible force flips the car over. A character named Christina Braithwaite stepped out of the Rolls Royce as the trio speed off to safety. They arrive in Devon County. Devon County was founded by witch hunters. There's stories of missing people, witches, and wolves. It's like a skinwalker ranch, basically. And it's run by a racist sheriff named Samuel Braithwaite. George pulls up a pic of a woman from his wallet. Later on that night, Letty is getting fussed at by her brother Marvin. Marvin gave her money to come back home. She missed their mother's funeral. The next day, that night, Tick tells George his father didn't want him in the army, in the white man's military, rather. They had a physical altercation. George tells Tick his dad was the subject of beatings from the grandfather. The next day, they arrive in Devon County. They're pulled up on by a sheriff who tells them in a Sundown County they have until 7:09. At that time, they had 7 minutes to get to the county line. The sheriff makes Tick say, "Pretty please, will you let this smart nigga make a U-turn?" The cop is tailing them, then begins to ram their car. They have 1 minute left to get to the county line. With 10 seconds left, they cross the county line. But then down the road, they run into a police blockade. They're walked into the woods at gunpoint. They're accused of burglary. The sheriff then asks Tick if they're passing through, then how does he know his name? And then they hear weird animal noises. One of the creatures, which is a vampire, eats half of the arm off of the sheriff. Tick and Letty run to the cabin, leaving George on the ground. The deputies are being eaten one by one. A deputy and the injured sheriff, run to the cabin where Tick and Letty are at. George is being stalked by the creatures. George finds the cabin. George deduces lights can hurt the creatures. They're vampires. Letty is chosen by the sheriff to run to the car. Okay, and the injured sheriff then turns into a vampire because he's been bitten. Letty makes it to the car. The vampire/sheriff then kills the last remaining deputy. Letty then crashes into the cabin, hitting the vampire sheriff. The vampire sheriff then runs off into the woods. They're surrounded by vamps. Then a whistle call is heard and sends them away. The next day, the trio walk into Artem and begin walking towards an estate. The silver Rolls Royce from earlier is parked there. A man opens the door and tells Tick he's been expected and welcome home. This series was slow in the very beginning, but picked up in the last 20 minutes. This is going to be the next Watchmen, basically, on the HBO series. So a lot of people were into the Watchmen because of the themes with the melanated brother and sister. Same thing here with the Lovecraft country. It's basically birthrights, and we talked about nationality and birthrights before on previous channels, but we're not going to discuss that here. So I'm looking forward to the next, I think it's 6 episodes. So next we got 5 more episodes of this series before they wrap it up. So intriguing to say that none the least. I'm looking forward to the next episode. You guys have a good one. Peace.